All right, Mercury in Aquarius. How do you people think? How do you speak? And how do you learn? This is the placement of the creative genius, of that mad scientist. This is that placement of the great inventor. And this can also mean that they come up with ideas that nobody else has really ever thought about, certain concepts that seem revolutionary to other people, but for Mercury and Aquarius, it's just another passing thought for them. It's a daily occurrence that they're able to come up with ideas that nobody else has really ever thought of before. They've come up with a new way of thinking about a certain thing, a situation, or a certain person. And this can really be fascinating for other people who notice this about them, or it can be a little bit controversial. I feel like controversial is sort of a big keyword for Mercury and Aquarius, and that's because their ideas are just so out there, so revolutionary, that it can really start conversations. They can be that icebreaker that just brings people together ultimately. I can see them being very open with all kinds of people. This placement can make somebody very open minded and just very tolerant of all kinds of ideas and all kinds of people and all kinds of beliefs. This is really similar to Mercury and Sagittarius, but I feel like Mercury and Aquarius is sort of like a more scientific version of Mercury and Sagittarius. So these people really like to get the ball rolling. They like to engage in discussions with as many people as possible, with everybody just throwing their own opinion into the group and just being able to hear everybody out. They love to hear all sides of a situation, as many perspectives as possible that they can be exposed to, like the happier they're going to be, because they live life in terms of the group. Aquarius is that sign of social groups, social circles, friendships, organizations, and just the, the position of the individual within the group collective. And so, if you try to apply that here with an individual's thinking patterns and speaking style, they're gonna want to be expansive in their worldview. They're also gonna be very tolerant of what you have to say, of if you have a perspective that's completely opposite or different or clashing with them in some way, they're gonna respect you for that and they're gonna hear you out. Aquarius is also an air sign, so it's very intellectual, it's very cerebral and of the mind. They're able to keep an objective attitude when they're speaking to people. They're not going to get their emotions involved or get super passionate or heated about other people, or like getting other people to be on their side. That's not their priority when they're communicating. If you think about the symbol of the water bearer, it is a person or a human figure just pouring out water into the world, and that symbol is basically representing the spread of knowledge and the spread of ideas to the world, and they're the sign of the humanitarian. And so a huge part of what Aquarius stands for is doing things for the benefit of other people and for the benefit of the whole group, whereas it's the opposite of Leo. Leo is the ego, and they're the self-entitled kings and queens of the zodiac, whereas Aquarius is more group oriented, and they're more concerned with the needs and the desires of the group as a whole, the world, and the social circle that they belong to. I feel that having that as part of their symbol and having that be what it represents, Mercury in Aquarius is going to want to be able to listen to everybody, let everybody have an equal voice, let everyone have a say of speaking and expressing themselves, because everybody deserves a chance to speak, and every single individual person matters. I feel that Mercury in Aquarius will be very big on individual ideas and what makes or what sets you apart from the group collective, because Aquarius is all about the being unique and being an individual, being a rebel, standing out in some way, making your mark on the world in your own very special, unique way. And so they might do this for themselves. They might express their individuality through their speaking and through their communicating, through how they express their ideas. So this placement, it might make a person not really express themselves the way other people normally would. They might have an unusual way of speaking or just expressing their thoughts in ways that, other people wouldn't expect. And that's exactly how they would like for it to be. The last thing that they want to be or be seen as is just an ordinary conversation partner to anybody to whoever it is that they're speaking to. Like, they want to be able to make that mark on you and make an impact on their partner, whoever it is that they're speaking to. Like, they want to be able to leave that mark and show that they are an individual in some kind of way, whether that be through saying things or expressing themselves in ways that are unexpected, ways that nobody else has done before. This can come across as being creative, for example. That's something that's very unique to the individual. And so that's just one example, but Mercury in Aquarius is going to strive basically to express themselves very uniquely and very individualistically. And these people are also able to separate their mind from their heart. And so they can really see situations through a very rational perspective and without getting their emotions involved, without being super like subjective in decision making. They're just going to do what their mind and their rationale tells them to do. And they're always going to make sure that they make the right judgment about everybody first and foremost, give everybody a fair chance to speak their truth and to explain their standpoint on something before judging them. This is one of the least judgmental signs of the zodiac, and especially in the Mercury placement, because these people are not quick to judge. They're always giving people a fair chance to speak and to explain themselves, because they understand that it's not just their way of thinking that is the only way to think, or it's not just their own way of living that is the only way to live. They really have this really good understanding and grasp of the fact that there's so many different types of people in the world, and from so many backgrounds, so many upbringings, and that's going to give each person such a unique perspective on things. And it's not just about them, it's about everybody, and it's about listening to everyone, letting everybody have a voice. These people will really want to spread as much knowledge as they can. And so they can be really good teachers, good lecturers, speakers, public speakers, motivational speakers. You can really sense that they have a drive to them. It's not a fiery, crazy passion like the fire Mercuries would have, but you can really tell that when they speak about something that they love or really believe in, that they put their whole heart and soul into it. And they're also going to really show off what they know. They're going to show off as much knowledge as they can and as much as they have in their brain, which is tends to be a lot, because like I said, this placement gives a person that like genius quality. And so they're always going to know what they're talking about. They're not going to just say things, and they're not just going to express their opinion and call it a fact. These people do their research and they get into whatever it is that they're talking about. They're going to have the facts to back up their standpoint. They're going to have the evidence, and these people are very big on science and proving that things exist, not just from emotion and not just from like intuition, but like based on what they've seen and based on what's been proven before by professionals. And so when you're able to hear them talk about things that they believe in, or their opinions on certain things that they're really passionate about, you see that they're completely 100% full in, and they really believe in what they're talking about. And Mercury in Aquarius is also very progressive minded. And so they're going to have their sights really set on the future. What can be improved and how can we make progress? And they're just very much focused on the future, much more than the past, much more than the present. Like I said, Aquarius is that sign that's always thinking ahead, very innovative, very creative, and they think of things before anybody else ever does. And so, translating that to communication and thinking, this is going to really make them very future oriented and very much ahead of their time. These are the people that can become inventors because their mind just operates on like levels that is sort of incomprehensible to us mere mortals on earth. To those that are much more focused on like the here and now and the trends and what it is that the person next to us is doing like right at this minute. You know, Aquarius is Mercury and Aquarius is just so far ahead and so far beyond all of that. Mercury and Aquarius, you're also gonna be very deep thinkers. You search for the truth and you're gonna uncover everything that you can about everything it is that you want to know, basically. Once you have your sight set on learning something new, or a new study, a new concept, a new person, you're very good at studying and you're good at learning because your mind is so open to it and your mind is set on learning about whatever that thing is. Like you really go hard at it and you really go for it because you are a fixed sign, and fix tends to just like plow through whatever it is that they want, whatever it is that they're desiring. Like they don't stop until they get it. They go all the way until the very end, until they reach the end. So yeah, they are deep thinkers. They are those people that always see that there's something more under the surface, that there's like this bigger meaning behind life. And they really do have that philosophical bent to them, a lot like Sagittarius, Mercury and Sagittarius, like I said. They want to engage in conversation that is profound and that you can you can exit the conversation being changed or helped or shown the light, shown the truth in some kind of way. They're not really one to go for small talk or just random conversations about really shallow or superficial types of things. They're going to want to go deep and not necessarily like emotional or psychologically deep, but they're just going to want to talk about the big picture of things and what are your worldviews, what are the things that actually matter to you. And they want to know like what your political views are and what are your views on global warming and veganism. Or they might ask you about issues that are really important to them, and then they're just gonna want to see your perspective on it. They're gonna want to bounce back ideas with you. Again, being that air sign, they need people and they need to have somebody to like bounce ideas off of. I kind of feel like Mercury and Aquarius is the least of all the air signs to really need a conversation partner because they're a little bit of that lone wolf type of air sign. They are the most independent of the air signs, definitely. And so there a lot of times they're gonna come across people who either just don't agree with like their perspective on things, which they're fine with, they're okay with, or other people just tend to view them as being too radical, too unconventional, and Mercury and Aquarius really doesn't faze them at all. In fact, they love being seen as different and being seen as an individual. They would hate to be seen as following the crowd or saying things or believing things just because other people tell them to or because that's what society believes is right. These people really challenge what the larger society says about certain people, about certain situations. I really have to respect them for that because they have the guts to just challenge that and say, hey, but have you ever considered the other side of things? Or have you ever like asked somebody else their perspective on this? And I feel that like a lot of society, a lot of people in today's society, they just kind of like hear things through their friends or through how they were raised growing up from their parents, and they just kind of adopt these ideas like just sheep following a herd. And without really considering the evidence behind it or really fact checking. Mercury in Aquarius is always going to be sure to have their facts straight before they form some kind of conclusion about anything or anybody. And I just feel like that's another contributing factor of what makes them stand out because not a lot of people today really do that with how fast information and knowledge just kind of spreads throughout the world these days. And, it's just so easy to believe things and follow mob mentality just because you've heard somebody else say it, or that's just because the internet is saying it, and without really like challenging it or really trying to get your research done and see the facts behind what it is people are saying. Like, are they really based on facts, or is it just rumors, or just the way that most people think right now? And Aquarius really not going to waste their time, just following the herd, following what it is that they've heard through the herd. Yeah, this can make them really good leaders in that way, in social groups, leading, almost like leading revolutions and starting reformation, because they're the ones that challenge society's expectations and what society deems as like normal in today's age. Like, they're so far ahead of that. They know that there's just more to, there's more than just one way of thinking. And so there's always going to be a different perspective from them, from what other people see the situation as. And so Mercury and Aquarius like goes for that, and they make sure that all the facts are being checked and all the research is being done first before making some kind of fair judgment. And last thing I want to really say about Mercury and Aquarius is that these are the people who will stand up for the underdog, and they're going to try to fight for the position of those who don't have a voice, or those who are stepped on a lot. They're definitely going to rally for those people because, like I said, they have their minds on like the bigger picture and like the view of the world. They don't just operate on expressing their own selves or expressing their own ego's needs or desires. Like, they really think about other people, and so they're gonna notice the people. They're gonna notice those who are stepped on or ignored in society, and they're gonna try to stand up for them. They're gonna find ways to like really get issues out into the open that are just kind of like pushed aside or swept under the rug. These are those people who are looking for change. It's a big placement. This is kind of a huge deal. Like, I know it's just Mercury and it's just like you're thinking and you're communicating and you're learning and everything, but like a lot of astrologers say that Mercury in Aquarius is its exaltation, and I'm kind of seeing why now. I've never really given it very much thought before. Like, yeah, they're the genius, they're like the inventors, the ones that are like thinking ahead of everybody else. But like, if you really think about it, they don't communicate or think just based on their own desires or based on trying to express their own ego like many of the other Mercury signs do. Like, they think about the group, they think about those who are like pushed aside or marginalized. And so this can make them those reformers and those people who really fight for change. Okay, so that's gonna be the end of my Mercury in Aquarius video. Please, if you are a Mercury in Aquarius, or if you know somebody who has this placement, please let me know how I did in the comments. And if you have any other suggestions or ideas for a new series that I can do on my channel, please also let me know. And don't forget to subscribe and to like the video.